Chapter 91 Professor Swan, You Should Become a Contractor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It took Sebastian just a day to get everything ready. He headed back to Hogwarts early Sunday morning to return the Sorcerer's Stone to Dumbledore. After breakfast, the students were surprised to see the heads of the four houses standing in formation in front of the Great Hall, then marching toward the Quidditch field with their Muggle Studies professor. What was going on? It wasn't Quidditch season, so why were all the professors heading that way? Curiosity got the better of them, and everyone followed the professors to see what was up. The area between the Quidditch pitch and the castle was a large, open space. The professors had picked it as the perfect spot for their dueling arena. As soon as the group arrived, Sebastian opened his magically expanded bag. All sorts of building supplies flew out, soon covering the ground with bricks, lumber, and steel beams. Holy cow, what's all this for? Looks like they're building something. Any guesses? Maybe a magical animal enclosure? They expanded the herbology greenhouses, so it would make sense to keep some beasts around. Wouldn't that mean more part-time jobs? Awesome. I'm great with magical creatures. The students buzzed with speculation, eager to know what the professors were planning. Fred and George saw the crowd and immediately recognized a prime business opportunity. They exchanged knowing grins, pushed their way to the front, and started taking bets. While the students chatted, Sebastian waved his wand. The ground slowly sank, creating a solid foundation. Then, the piles of materials seemed to lift themselves into the air. As Sebastian conducted with his wand, the materials moved with precision and grace, like musicians following their conductor. Bricks stacked themselves into towering walls, wood wove into complex frameworks, and steel beams flew through the air to lock into place. Soon, windows and doorframes took shape, and a building larger than the Quidditch pitch stood complete. Its simple, elegant design, full of medieval charm, blended seamlessly with Hogwarts architecture. This is a miracle. Someone pinch me. I think I'm dreaming. If Professor Swan were a contractor, he'd be making millions. Listening to the students' chatter, Sebastian surveyed the dueling arena with satisfaction. Perfect. Now, the students would finally have a dedicated space to practice their spells. After all, learning a spell was just the first step. Mastering it was another thing entirely. Even if you knew a spell, using it effectively in a duel was a different skill altogether. Like in Muggle video games, everyone has the same characters and abilities, but some players become champions while others stay stuck at the bottom. Sebastian pulled out a number of alchemical items and set them on the ground. First, he placed a huge stone and a bulletin board on either side of the arena's entrance. Attention, everyone, Sebastian said, pointing at the boulder. This is an alchemical item that tests your magical power. Instructions are on the back. He gestured to the bulletin board. This board has details about the building and the requirements for the new work-study positions. Give it a read. Then, turning to the professors, he invited with a smile, if you could help with the decoration, that would be great. Professor Sprout, some evergreen magical plants around the grounds would really make it pop. As the professors entered the arena, the students swarmed them. Harry squeezed through the crowd, trying to make sense of the bulletin board. The dueling hall will be open all day starting tomorrow. All students are welcome to practice spells and duel. Harry realized this was the place the professors had built for them to practice. He looked up at the magnificent dueling hall, his face breaking into a wide smile. Ever since he'd arrived at Hogwarts, he'd been frustrated by the lack of proper practice facilities. They didn't even have basic practice dummies. It had been bugging him for ages. Harry touched the picture he kept hidden on his chest. This is great. Mom won't need to worry about my studies anymore. Dueling Club, held every Friday night at 8 p.m., Hermione read, a hint of excitement in her voice. Awesome, Professor Flitwick will be the speaker next Friday. The topic is combining multiple spells. Ron, check it out, there are new work-study jobs. You should apply. Look at the requirements. Ron was pumped. Still stuck using Charlie's old wand, he was eager to get a paid job at the school. He'd already been turned down for the herbology and potions positions. These new jobs were as good as gold in his eyes. He was ready to hustle. Part-time openings, Ron read carefully. Dueling hosts needed to oversee duels, ensure safety, and explain the rules. Open to 6th and 7th years only. Venue staff needed to maintain order during practice sessions and upkeep the equipment. Open to all students. You could go for the second one, Ron, Hermione suggested. Ron nodded enthusiastically. Sweet. When I'm on duty, I can mess with Malfoy so he can't concentrate. Ron. Hermione said sternly. That's irresponsible. Don't do that. Ron rolled his eyes. Here we go again. She's such a know-it-all, always lecturing. Ugh, the students in front of the bulletin board were chattering about the new announcement. Meanwhile, exclamations erupted from the boulder, drawing everyone's attention. Drawn in by the commotion, Harry turned to Ron and Hermione. Let's go check out the boulder. They headed over to the stone, where an even bigger crowd had gathered, 3 deep. Intrigued, they could hear excited shouts. Through the crowd's chatter, Harry and his friends learned what the boulder did. Students could hit the stone with their strongest spells. After the spell hit, the stone would display a rating and the student's magical level. Everyone was eager to test their strength. Finally, it was Harry's turn. He took a deep breath, raised his wand, and pointed it at the boulder. A flash of red light shot out. Wizard's Apprentice, Stage 2. Chapter 92. I've prepared a shield for you, come on. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Time flies, and Halloween's here before you know it. Hogwarts looks especially stunning in the autumn sunset, with falling leaves adding a golden glow to the grounds. The halls and the Great Hall are decked out with colorful decorations. Huge pumpkin lanterns, carved with all sorts of weird faces, cast a warm orange light. Sebastian brought a ton of candy. With a wave of his wand, he transformed it into adorable, cartoon-style bats that fluttered through the air. They had big, slightly mischievous eyes, and their short, round wings looked like tiny leaves as they flapped. The younger students were overjoyed, squealing and chasing after the little bats. They pulled out their wands and took aim. In a flash, bright spells zipped through the air, knocking the candy bats down. Fred and George, not thrilled with how long it was taking to grab candy with single spells, exchanged a knowing glance. Then, they simultaneously waved their wands, turning their robes into giant bug nets, each with a telescoping handle. Suddenly, they were scooping up candy at a much faster rate, leaving the other kids around them amazed and a little jealous. Everyone quickly followed suit, waving nets of all shapes and sizes, and the number of bats in the air dwindled fast. Laughter, shouts, and the sound of flapping wings filled the Great Hall. Once Dumbledore announced dinner was starting, the house tables were instantly piled high with delicious food: golden roasted turkey, fragrant roasted pumpkin, caramelized sweet potatoes, apple pie, colorful candy, creamy chocolate cake, soft pudding, everything you could imagine. Harry looked around, not seeing Hermione, and asked Ron, "Hey, Ron, have you seen Hermione? She's been gone since Charms class today." Ron, holding a drumstick in each hand, took a bite out of one, his mouth stuffed. He mumbled in reply to Harry's question, "Nope, haven't seen her. Maybe she's at the library." Ron swallowed with a gulp, then took a huge swig of pumpkin juice. "Who cares? Good riddance. I've been annoyed with her for ages. She's always sticking her nose into everything. It's so irritating. Every time I ask to borrow her homework, she always says no, saying she has to do her own work. I don't want to copy it, I just want to bounce ideas off of her. And she was even worse in Charms class today, constantly telling me my pronunciation and wand movements were wrong. This wasn't right, that wasn't right. Seriously. She's just trying to help. Why does she care so much?" Ron seemed to have a lot of pent-up frustration with Hermione, and he just kept complaining. Neville, who was sitting nearby, finally cut him off. "Lay off, Ron. Parvati said Hermione was really upset and she's still crying in the girls' bathroom." Hearing this, a flicker of concern crossed Ron's face. *that sensitive. "I just said she has no friends, why is she still crying? What should I do now? Should I go apologize?" Harry and Ron exchanged worried glances, unsure of what to do. Harry was about to say something when the doors of the Great Hall burst open. Harry turned to see Professor Quirrell running in, panicked, yelling as he came, "Troll, in the dungeon. Before he could finish, he collapsed to the floor, unconscious. The sudden commotion caused a wave of panic through the hall. Seeing this, Sebastian, who was ready for anything, cast a sonorous charm on himself. "Everyone, calm down," that the loud sound drowned out the students' screams and got their attention. "Don't panic. Headmaster Dumbledore is here. This is the safest place to be. Everyone, back to your seats and continue eating." Then, he turned to Dumbledore and said, "Headmaster, you stay here and protect the students. Dinner has just started, and they haven't had a chance to eat yet. It's just a little troll." Sebastian reached out with his magical senses and realized the troll hadn't left the dungeons and was still far away from Hermione in the bathroom. "I know where it is. Let's go take care of it." As for Professor Quirrell, who fainted from shock, Sebastian glanced at Quirrell, who was definitely faking it, and a sly smile crept onto his face. "I'll put you right under Dumbledore's nose and see what kind of trouble you can get into." He waved his wand and conjured a thick cushion, placing it right in front of Dumbledore's chair. Then, he used a levitation charm to float Quirrell onto the cushion. "The floor's a bit chilly. Let's let Professor Quirrell sleep on the mat for a while." "Professor Swan," Harry said, pulling Ron to the professor's side in a panic. "Hermione didn't come to dinner. She doesn't know about the troll. We're worried she might be in danger. Can you take us to find her?" Professor McGonagall started to object, but Dumbledore cut her off. "Their willingness to protect their friendship is commendable. In that case, let's take them both along." Dumbledore gave Sebastian a meaningful look and said, "I trust Professor Swan can ensure the students' safety." Sebastian caught Dumbledore's meaning. "Understood. This is a training exercise for Harry, he has everything handled. Don't worry." Sebastian casually turned on the large magical TV on the wall, took out a special magical camera, and addressed the students. "We have a Class XXXX biological giant monster, the focus of the defense against the dark arts class. It's not every day you get to see a living giant monster. I'm going to show you a first-person perspective live feed. You can watch while you eat." With that, he led Harry and Ron toward the first-floor bathroom. The bathroom was located at a T-intersection. As soon as they stepped into the hallway leading to it, they were hit with a disgusting stench. Sebastian immediately cast bubblehead charms on all three of them, then explained into the magic camera, "Giant monsters are usually accompanied by a strong odor, which can make your eyes water. The bubblehead charm will help us filter out the polluted air." As soon as he finished, Harry and Ron felt the ground tremble, as if a giant was approaching. They exchanged terrified looks, their hearts pounding in their chests. Just then, a huge figure lumbered into view at the entrance to the bathroom. It was as tall as the ceiling, with rough, gray skin that looked like it was covered in a layer of rock. Its arms were as thick as pillars, and it clutched a massive wooden club. Its head was tiny compared to its body, making it look completely out of proportion. Its eyes were deep set, glinting with a dull light. Harry and Ron froze, holding their breath, seemingly paralyzed by the troll's size. They knew Hermione was in the bathroom, and seeing the troll about to enter sent them into a panic. Harry gripped his wand, looked up at Sebastian, and whispered urgently, "Hurry, Professor." Sebastian raised his wand, cast a strong shield charm on Harry, and smiled. "Harry, you're all shielded up. Now, it's your turn. Go." Chapter 93 Giant Monster. I think there is something dirty here. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There was an uproar in the auditorium. Everyone reacted the same way to Sebastian's announcement, their mouths gaping open, completely forgetting about their food. What the? Is Professor Swan out of his mind? He wants Potter to take on a troll by himself. Someone pinch me. I must be dreaming. This is worse than asking Potter to catch a spell with his bare hands. Malfoy, sitting in his seat, was both worried about Potter's safety and a little concerned about what might happen if Potter actually won. Snape glared coldly at the magic TV, practically grinding his teeth to dust, silently cursing Sebastian, that damn Swan. What is he thinking, throwing Harry into a fight with a troll? Just you wait. If Harry gets so much as a scratch, I'm spiking your drink with Veritaserum. For a moment, Harry thought he'd misheard. What? A one-on-one against that monster? Harry sized up the troll and realized he barely reached its knees. Is the professor seriously asking me to headbutt its knee? What, are Ron and I just cheerleaders today? Swallowing hard, Harry turned to Ron, who was staring at Sebastian in disbelief, his jaw practically scraping the floor. Harry looked at Sebastian for confirmation, and after getting a nod, he gave up on any hope of this being a joke. He turned his head just as the troll burst through the bathroom door. Suddenly, Harry's courage surged back. He took a deep breath and yelled at the troll. Hey, ugly! Over here! I'm gonna kick your ass. He raised his wand, and a jet of red light shot out, hitting the troll. The troll froze, its rampage interrupted by the sting. Confused, it scratched its head, looked around, and spotted the tiny figure who'd been yelling. Instantly, it knew it had been insulted. It roared and charged towards Harry, raising its club. At the same time, Sebastian sent his Patronus to Hermione in the bathroom. Miss Granger, there's a troll outside. It's extremely dangerous. Stay hidden inside and don't make any noise or come out. Your friends Harry and Ron are here to rescue you. Just hang tight. Seeing the troll charging toward him, Harry stayed surprisingly calm. He knew a direct confrontation was suicide. He had to outsmart it, not overpower it. With that thought, Harry didn't charge in but instead backed away carefully, maneuvering closer to Sebastian. He had a brilliant idea: taunt the troll and then hide behind Sebastian, letting him deal with it. Pure genius. But just as Harry was about to put his plan into action, he saw Sebastian and Ron beat a hasty retreat, already 5 meters away, as if they had read his mind. Plan A foiled, guess it's Plan B. Harry gritted his teeth and fired spells at the troll with everything he had, but they bounced harmlessly off its thick hide. All he could do was watch as the troll lumbered closer, raised its club, and brought it crashing down. Whoosh. Harry stared in disbelief at the club. He didn't understand how it had missed. Before he could react, the troll swung again. Another near miss. Sebastian was subtly manipulating the troll's club with flicks of his wand, making sure each swing just barely missed Harry. Sebastian continued to narrate for the magic camera. As you can see, Mr. Potter's attacks are having no effect. That's because trolls have extremely high magical resistance. If you encounter a troll in the wild, don't even think about fighting it head-on. That's a guaranteed way to get hurt. The best strategy is to apparate away. If that's not possible, you can transfigure something large to distract it and then make a run for it. Remember everyone, trolls are not bright. Use that to your advantage. Just then, the bathroom door creaked open and Hermione cautiously peeked out. She'd been terrified by the professor's message. She'd read all about how brutal trolls could be. She had planned to hide in the bathroom until the professor had subdued the troll, but the sounds of fighting and Harry's shouts had been tearing her up inside. Didn't the professor come with them? Why was Harry fighting the troll alone? After thinking that Harry and Ron came to save her, she finally made up her mind to come out and fight with Harry. Hermione was greeted with the sight of Harry narrowly dodging the troll's attacks. She couldn't take it anymore, and with a scream, she charged at the troll. Seeing Hermione's bravery, Ron was unwilling to be outdone. He roared and charged alongside her. Harry, I'm here to help. Seeing the three of them working together, Sebastian smiled, relieved. The training exercise was a success. Now it was time to clean up this mess. Just as Sebastian was about to intervene, he heard Hermione yell to the other two, our attacks aren't working. We need a different plan. Sebastian paused. He wanted to see if these three could pull off a miracle. He knew they'd be safe with him there, after all. Like what? Ron asked anxiously, reacting instantly to Hermione's words. He had been trying to use the levitation charm to disarm the troll, but the stick was stuck fast. We can lure it to that special place, Hermione said urgently, and let it fight the other big guy. That a great idea. Harry's eyes lit up. He knew instantly what Hermione meant. Lure the troll to the three-headed dog, let them fight. He ducked under the troll's legs and sprinted towards the stairs. Hey, ugly! Come get me! Harry had been the troll's primary target for the longest time, so its focus remained on him. Seeing Harry run, the troll paused for a split second, then roared and gave chase. Hermione and Ron, worried about Harry's safety, exchanged a look and quickly followed. To be honest, Sebastian was surprised by Hermione's idea. It was a strategy he'd never considered. Impressive. Hermione's brain really is something else. Sebastian was actually curious to see who would win that fight, the troll or the three-headed dog, but this was a live broadcast, and Dumbledore would never allow the three-headed dog to be exposed. Sure enough, before he could even take a step, a portrait whispered in a voice only he could hear, "Professor Swan, the headmaster says it's time to wrap things up." That I knew it. Sebastian approached the stairs, pointed his wand at the troll's feet, and cast his spell. The next moment, the troll stepped onto a patch of ice, it lost its balance, crashed through the railing, and tumbled down the stairs. Bam! The troll landed with a loud thud. Unconscious, Harry, Ron, and Hermione stared at each other in shock. They hadn't expected it to end like that. They cheered, hugged each other, laughed, and jumped for joy. We beat the troll. Chapter 95, Quirrell, I Don't Admit It. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seriously? How did I miss that? Quirrell's smile felt fake, and he wondered if Sebastian was onto him. Could he have figured out about Voldemort? The thought sent a jolt of fear through Quirrell, like a cold hand squeezing his heart. He took a deep breath, trying to appear calm. Quirrell focused, sensing that Voldemort on the back of his head had gone completely silent, like he'd shut down all his senses. He glanced sideways at Sebastian, trying to gauge his reaction, but Sebastian seemed totally normal, showing no sign of expecting a threat. Maybe it had nothing to do with Voldemort. Maybe he was just being paranoid. Don't freak out now. Thinking this, Quirrell relaxed a little. Seeing Quirrell's unease, Sebastian smirked and teased, "Weren't you just telling me how much you wanted to swipe something from that restricted corridor on the 4th floor, Professor Quirrell?" Those words hit Quirrell like a lightning bolt. The corner of his eye twitched almost imperceptibly as panic flickered across his seemingly calm face. He struggled to keep his composure, but inside, a storm was brewing. How did Sebastian know he wanted to steal something? What else did he know? The calm Quirrell had just regained vanished. He worried that his possession by Voldemort was now exposed. He tried to look innocent and said smoothly, I have no idea what you're talking about." Sebastian smiled, a sharp glint in his eyes. "Then tell me, your office is on the 3rd floor, so why am I always seeing you lurking around on the 4th? And for a defense against the dark arts professor, you sure seemed scared of that troll. That doesn't add up. Plus, I hear you even designed one of the challenges down there, and it involves a troll. How do you explain that?" Sebastian pressed, his tone growing increasingly suspicious. Quirrell's palms started to sweat. He felt a crushing weight on his chest, making it hard to breathe. He forced a smile. That's because you were the one who let the troll in on Halloween night. The whole point was to cause chaos so you could sneak past the defenses." Sebastian cut him off, his voice rising, laced with accusation. "Am I right, Professor Quirrell?" Quirrell's expression crumbled. His eyes darted around, his composure gone. Fear and anxiety consumed him. "That's ridiculous." Quirrell stammered, "You're accusing me. I have no intention of stealing the Philosopher's Stone." The words were barely out of his mouth when Quirrell realized his mistake. Crap, he panicked. He blew it. Sebastian hadn't mentioned the Philosopher's Stone being hidden deep inside the 4th floor, and Dumbledore hadn't explicitly revealed what was hidden there. Before he could even regret his slip-up, Quirrell saw Sebastian staring at him, a look of pure contempt on his face. "Professor Quirrell," Sebastian said, "did I mention the Philosopher's Stone?" Then, Sebastian did a complete about-face, feigning innocence. "Relax, Professor Quirrell. We're actually on the same side. A fellow traveler, what was that supposed to mean?" Quirrell's curiosity spiked. He desperately wanted to know what Sebastian was getting at. Sebastian smiled mysteriously and continued, "You're not the only one who wants to get their hands on the Philosopher's Stone. I'm after it too. That makes us natural allies." So that was it. Another guy after the stone. He looks so high and mighty, but he's just a phony. Quirrell, slightly relieved, put on a show of surprise, stammering, why you want to steal the philosopher's stone? Aren't you afraid I'll tell the headmaster? Sebastian mentally rolled his eyes. This guy's acting is almost convincing. If he didn't already know what was happening, he might have believed him. He gestured towards the door and said slowly, please, Professor Quirrell, go ahead and report me. Let's see who the headmaster believes, you or me. Sebastian paused, then added, I came here in good faith. If you're set on not cooperating, then we'll just be rivals. May the best thief win. Sebastian watched Quirrell's reaction carefully. Oh, and by the way, if I can't get the stone, I'll make sure you don't either. Consider my offer. Silence descended on the office. Quirrell's face was a mask of conflicting emotions, as though he was waging war with himself. Sebastian watched him without saying a word, not pushing at all. Sebastian hadn't come to Quirrell's office just to provoke him. He was planting a seed that could help him escape in the future. This wasn't a random act. This was a careful choice. He wanted to prove that ordinary people could escape Voldemort, not just the chosen one. Not only would this further damage Voldemort's reputation, but it would also alleviate the pressure on Harry. Plus, if Quirrell survived, he could tell everyone how little Voldemort cared for his followers, and how there was no point to following him. Rescuing Quirrell could create a multitude of beneficial outcomes. However, Sebastian was aware that Quirrell was on high alert and wary of anything out of the ordinary. He needed to disguise himself as someone who also wanted to steal the Philosopher's Stone. If Sebastian could become Quirrell's ally and earn his trust, he would be able to keep the overall situation under control. Before Quirrell drank unicorn blood, he would help him, give him hope, so that he wouldn't fall so far. This would increase Quirrell's chances of survival. Of course, Sebastian didn't expect Quirrell to believe him immediately. Seeing Quirrell lost in thought, Sebastian decided to play it cool. He turned and began walking slowly toward the door. He knew Quirrell wouldn't let him leave like this. Even if he wanted to, Voldemort certainly wouldn't. Just as Sebastian was about to open the door, Quirrell's voice, surprisingly steady, called out, Professor Swann, wait. Chapter 96. No one knows this magic better than me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hooked. The plan I discussed with Dumbledore is finally a go. Faking the Philosopher's Stone theft worked like a charm, and Quirrell totally bought it. I smoothed out my expression, turned, and asked with a smile, so, Professor Quirrell, have you made up your mind? Instead of answering, Quirrell threw a curveball. You're the richest guy in the wizarding world, swimming in cash. Why do you even need the Philosopher's Stone? Are you pulling my leg? I'd anticipated this question, so I had my answer ready. Besides being a professor, I'm a businessman at heart. And a businessman never has enough money. If I could turn lead into gold, I'd be set for life and stay king of the hill. Look, you've never been the richest, so I can't explain the feeling. Quirrell seemed relieved. What a money grubber. He'd throw his reputation under the bus just for a bigger payday. What's he thinking? But hey, as long as he wasn't plotting behind my back, Quirrell, visibly calmer, asked his next question. You could steal the stone on your own, so why team up with me? I looked Quirrell straight in the eye. Well, you know, in the academic world, I'm a well-respected Muggle studies professor at Hogwarts. In the business world, I'm a big-shot tycoon and philanthropist. And in sports, I'm a Quidditch superstar. Quirrell's face was a mask of confusion. He clearly had no idea where I was going with this. It wasn't until I dropped the line, reputation is everything to me, and I need to keep my hands clean, that the penny finally dropped. He's playing me, he wants me to do his dirty work. If anything goes wrong, I take the fall. No way. Realization dawned, and Quirrell seemed a little miffed. Then why should I cooperate with you? Wouldn't I be better off going solo? I flashed a confident smile. You might not know this, but Professor McGonagall and I are tight, and Professor Flitwick is both my teacher and a close friend. Even Snape is my best bud. I can get intel on the defenses from the professors with ease, something you could never pull off in a million years. Oh, and, I added, trying to sound like I had him right where I wanted him, have you seen the three-headed dog? You probably noticed the door at its feet. That's the alchemical puzzle I set up. Any spell will set off a loud alarm. The only way to open it is by solving the puzzle. It's just a muggle math problem, but I doubt you could even understand the question, let alone the answer. And one wrong answer triggers the alarm, and your stone-stealing plans go up in smoke. Team up with me, and I'll give you the answer and help you navigate the other professor's defenses. I can even help you cover your tracks and cook up an alibi. My words had an impact. Quirrell was clearly weighing his options. He blurted out, "All right, then tell me the answer to your puzzle," that I couldn't help but sneer internally, trying to get something for nothing. Dream on. I leaned in close to Quirrell, adopting a slightly threatening tone. "Professor Quirrell, are you out of your mind? We don't have a deal yet." A forced smile plastered itself on Quirrell's face, but he avoided a direct answer. I softened my tone. "You don't have to decide right now. Friendly reminder, Dumbledore hasn't even put the stone in place yet, so you've got time to think it over. But let me be clear, if you want to be my partner, you have to prove you bring something to the table. I need an ally, not a weak and dumb teammate." I pulled a notebook from my jacket and gently placed it on Quirrell's desk, filled with information on love magic. Then, I turned to leave. Pausing at the door, I glanced back at the dazed Quirrell. "When you've made up your mind, you know where to find me." Quirrell watched me go, completely lost, so much to process. "I need to think about this." As he collected his thoughts, Voldemort's voice echoed in his mind. "Agree to his request. I need you to get the Philosopher's Stone as soon as possible." "Master, but I don't understand this love magic." Voldemort replied weakly, "Let me handle it. No one knows this magic better than I do." After the Quidditch game, Harry, Ron, and Hermione followed Hagrid back to his hut. As soon as they were inside, Ron exploded. "Harry, you were in danger up there because Snape was cursing you. I've always known there was something fishy about that professor. He's always scowling and picking on students in class. Percy and the others said Professor Snape has always hated Gryffindors the most." "Ron!" Hermione cut him off. "We don't have any proof. We can't just jump to conclusions. Professor Snape is strict, but he treats all the houses the same. Fred and George told me Professor Snape has been fairer since last year." Ron rolled his eyes, clearly not buying it. "You're defending him? You saw him casting a spell with your own eyes." Hermione hesitated. She had seen Snape casting a spell, but something didn't feel right. Harry got special treatment in potions class, and she didn't believe a professor would attack his own student in public. Harry, hearing their argument, chuckled. "No way, Professor Snape would never hurt him." "Impossible, absolutely impossible. If Professor Snape wanted to hurt me, he had plenty of chances over the summer. Why would he wait until now?" "Ron, you're just biased against Slytherin. I refuse to believe Professor Snape would hurt me." Ron was getting agitated. He grabbed Hagrid's sleeve. "Hagrid, you were there. Tell me." Hagrid hedged. "I believe the professors wouldn't hurt Harry, but Slytherin. Harry, you should be careful." Seeing the kids about to start fighting again, Hagrid intervened. "Everyone, stop arguing. Harry's okay, right? Come on, let's try some of my rock cakes." Chapter 97. You can always trust Snape. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the end, Harry couldn't keep his doubts bottled up. He sought out the person he trusted most at Hogwarts and asked about the question he, Ron, and Hermione had been debating. "Professor Swann, do you know who attacked me during the Quidditch match?" Ron and Hermione claimed they saw Professor Snape casting a spell. "Is that true?" Seeing Harry's worried face, Sebastian smiled slightly and said, "Do you think it was Professor Snape?" "What's your gut feeling, Harry?" Harry hesitated, then said firmly, "I don't believe it was Professor Snape. I feel like he's got a good side. Besides, it wouldn't take much for a potions master to hurt me. Not to mention, it happened at a Quidditch match with tons of witnesses." "But..." Harry paused, what about what Hermione and Ron saw? Logically, Harry didn't believe Snape would harm him, but his friend's words still planted a seed of doubt. Sebastian walked up to Harry, looked him in the eye, and said seriously, "Harry, there is someone bad who's snuck into Hogwarts." Bad guy? Could it actually be Professor Snape? Harry's heart sank. He was about to ask when Sebastian continued. But it definitely wasn't Snape. He was actually saving you during the game that day. Saving me? Yes, Snape is highly skilled in defense against the dark arts. He immediately recognized the dark magic targeting your broom during the match. You were able to finish the race safely because he countered the curse. Hearing this, Harry felt a wave of relief wash over him. This was great news. He honestly liked Professor Snape. Seeing Harry's relieved expression, Sebastian said earnestly, "Harry, you can always trust Professor Snape." Harry nodded emphatically and left Sebastian's office, practically skipping. He couldn't wait to share the news with Ron and Hermione. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, it was mid-December, and the UK weather had turned bitterly cold. With only a week left until the holiday break, the young wizard's mind started to wander. It was tough to focus on their studies. They were counting down the days. One morning, the students woke up to find Hogwarts transformed into a winter wonderland, blanketed in thick snow. This time, the students couldn't contain their excitement. They stashed their textbooks in the dorms, bundled up in thick coats, and rushed out of the warm castle to have an epic snowball fight. Watching the joyful chaos, Sebastian felt a pang of longing. Man, I want to join in. Too bad. I'm a professor now. Can't exactly go wild with the students. Sebastian stood at the castle gate, watching the snowball fight with envy. Suddenly, he noticed something funny. Fred and George had cast a spell on their snowballs and were using them to relentlessly pelt Quirrell. Sebastian grinned, secretly giving the twins a mental thumbs up. Attaboy. Seeing a snowball smack Quirrell on the back of the head, Fred and George roared with laughter. They linked arms, singing and shouting in the snow like they just pulled off the heist of the century, but their laughter didn't last long. Quirrell, furious from the hit, docked 20 points from each of them and sentenced them to detention until Christmas. Sebastian watched the twins being led away with a smile. Then, an idea struck him. He headed toward the snowball fight. He remembered a simple but underrated spell, the snowball charm. Sebastian was going to give a live demonstration to turn this snowball fight up a notch, plus, he'd get a front row seat to the action. "Professor Swann, look out!" Hearing the warning, Sebastian tilted his head slightly, dodging a huge snowball. The young wizard who'd thrown it looked terrified, fearing a point deduction and detention like the Weasley twins. Luckily for him, Sebastian simply smiled and used a sonorous charm to get everyone's attention. "Hey, you guys want to learn a cool new way to play?" The students gathered around, eyes wide with curiosity. They were eager to see what tricks Professor Swann had up his sleeve to make the snowball fight even better. "I'm going to teach you a simple spell, the snowball charm." Sebastian pointed his wand toward the forbidden forest, and a small snowball quickly formed in front of him. As soon as the snowball appeared, it began to roll rapidly along the ground. The students watched in amazement as the snowball grew larger and larger, gathering snow as it rolled, gaining speed with every rotation. It started as something you could hold in your hand, but by the time it reached the edge of the forbidden forest, it was as big as Hagrid's cabin. Bang! The massive snowball crashed into a tree, exploding into a shower of snowflakes. It was awesome. "Holy cow," the students gasped. They'd never imagined snowball fights could involve spells this powerful. They'd been rolling snowballs by hand and throwing them as hard as they could. The most advanced technique was using the levitation charm to control snowballs, just like the Weasley twins. Compared to the professor's snowball charm, their method seemed pretty primitive. "Professor, I want to learn that." With Sebastian's patient guidance, the students quickly picked up the spell. However, they were a little confused. Their snowballs only rolled a few feet before falling apart, not even close to the size of a house. "Professor, what's wrong?" The students were disappointed. They wanted their own giant snowballs. "It's simple," Sebastian explained. "The snowball charm itself isn't complicated. But it takes a lot of control to pull it off. Experiment with it as you play and practice your control." Understanding dawned on their faces, and they got back to practicing. Soon, snowballs of all sizes were rolling toward the forbidden forest, creating a spectacular sight. Seeing that the students had gotten the hang of it, Sebastian used the sonorous charm again. I'm going to organize a snowball fight. It'll be a team competition, and the winners will get a Christmas present from me personally. Raise your hand if you want to join. Chapter 98 Harry, you idiot. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Snowball fight with the snowball curse. Winner gets a Christmas gift from the professor. The little wizard's eyes lit up, and hands shot up. They were in. Sebastian used the same method as in Muggle studies, mixing up all the students and evenly dividing them into two groups. Once the two sides were about 20 meters apart, he laid down the rules. Only the snowball spell. Any other spells are a foul, and you're out. Getting hit by a snowball also means you're out, so dodge. Sebastian grinned, looking at their eager faces. Let the games begin. Instantly, the little wizards fired off their prepared snowball spells. Big snowballs collided, sending up bursts of snowflakes that obscured everyone's vision. Some got through, bowling over groups of little wizards. Sebastian turned into a rescue worker, waving his wand to free the buried wizards. Professor, I wasn't paying attention. Professor Swan, we dodged the wrong way and ran into each other. That's not fair. Professor, I was so focused on my spell, I got clobbered. Give us another chance. No can do, Sebastian said, playing it strict. You can play again later. For now, watch the action. He waved his wand, and a struggling wizard was lifted into the air. Professor Swan, I wasn't hit yet. Put me down. Sebastian smiled and shook his head. You used the obstacle spell while I was looking away. That's a foul. So, you're grounded. Harry felt his luck was off. He wasn't on a team with Hermione and Ron, but against them, Hermione wasn't exactly athletic. She was hit by a snowball in the first chaotic moments and forced off the field, looking extremely unhappy with herself. Ron was still shouting and attacking, like he was out for revenge. As time went on, fewer and fewer wizards were left on the field. Sebastian watched with interest, noticing the survivors weren't necessarily the most powerful spellcasters, but the slipperiest and best hiders. Most were first-year wizards, 3 of them, while other grades had only 2 left, max. Sebastian couldn't explain it. Maybe the freshmen were just more athletic. Harry, breathing hard after dodging a snowball, saw only 5 people left on his team, way behind the other team's 8. With the field cleared, dodging was easier, but taking out opponents was harder. This can't keep going. Harry thought, dodging another snowball and searching for a solution. He looked at the field and spotted a blind spot. This was a team competition, but everyone was fighting solo, attacking targets at random. Harry's eyes lit up. He had an idea to turn things around. He looked at his teammates. Most were older students he didn't know. The only one he recognized was Malfoy from Slytherin. Ugh. Harry didn't like Malfoy, but he wanted to win. He hesitated for a moment, then shouted, Malfoy, you want to win? Duh. Of course, I want to win, Potter. What's your point? Just trust me. If you want to win, work with me, Malfoy. Like I'd work with you. Malfoy yelled, don't flatter yourself. But Malfoy was watching Harry closely. Suddenly, Harry made a Quidditch hand signal. Malfoy understood instantly. Attack the middle target. Malfoy immediately teamed up with Harry, and they cast the snowball curse at the same target at almost the same time. 2 snowballs, one on the left and one on the right, blocked the target's escape. The 6th grade student was caught off guard, nailed by a snowball, and joined the ranks of the eliminated. Harry's teammates cheered. Potter, you pick the targets, and we'll attack. The other team fought back, organizing a counterattack. Attack Harry. He's the ringleader, take him down first. Ron shouted, knowing it was a bad idea to leave Harry on the field. But Harry was too quick. He dodged the attacks. Harry's team took down 2 more opponents, tying the score at 5-5. The opposing teammates panicked and shifted their focus, targeting other players. after a fierce fight, the numbers dwindled quickly until only 3 were left. The students watching were amazed to see 3 first-year wizards at the end. Harry, breathing heavily, was happy with the situation. Only he and Malfoy were left on his side, the other side only had Ron. Ron was starting to panic. He felt cornered. He suddenly tried to provoke them. "Malfoy, you want a duel? 1-on-1. Are you crazy?" Malfoy scoffed. "You can't break through 2 snowball curses at once. Besides, this is a team effort. Eat snow, Weasley." Malfoy waved his wand, and a snowball raced toward Ron. Harry hesitated. Ron was his friend, and he didn't want to gang up on him with Malfoy, but then he remembered Ron being the first to target him when the fight broke out. Harry steeled himself. Sorry, Ron. This is war. Harry watched Ron's escape route, aimed his wand, and blocked it. A snowball shot out, growing larger and larger, and rolled rapidly towards Ron. "Harry! You moron! You're teaming up with Malfoy to attack." Before he could finish, Ron was buried under the snow. Harry and Malfoy's teamwork was amazing. "They're co-MVPs, Sebastian's voice boomed, "they will each get a special gift from me." The winning teammates rushed forward, throwing Harry and Malfoy into the air, celebrating their victory. The losing wizard swarmed Sebastian, demanding a rematch. Sebastian, facing the aggressive mob, had no choice but to let them keep playing. Finally, as it got dark, the little wizards reluctantly returned to the castle. The laughter in the school and the increasingly happy smiles showed that Christmas was coming. Chapter 99 Christmas Invitation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Harry stood in the Hogwarts corridor, gazing out at the snow-covered castle and feeling a rush of excitement. It was his first Christmas break since starting at Hogwarts. If he were still living with his aunt and uncle, he'd sign up to stay at school without a second thought, but ever since Mia and Sebastian took him in, the idea of staying at school held no appeal. Swan Manor was home now. What gave Harry pause was that his good friend Ron was stuck at school for Christmas. Ron's parents were heading to Romania to visit his brother Charlie for the holidays, while Ron's other brothers were also staying at Hogwarts. They all had their own plans. Percy, with his upcoming ordinary wizarding level exams, had signed up for 12 subjects and wasn't about to waste any time. He intended to cram for all his tests during the Christmas break. For Fred and George, Christmas wasn't a time to relax. It was the perfect opportunity to showcase their mischievous talents. They were planning to develop snowman chewing gum over the holiday, ready to prank everyone when school resumed. One chew, and you turn into a living snowman in seconds. Ron, left out of his brother's plans, was facing a lonely holiday on his own. Seeing the forlorn look on Ron's face, Harry could relate. He knew that feeling of loneliness all too well. He really wanted to invite Ron to spend Christmas with him, but he didn't want to impose on Sebastian and Mia. After a long period of hesitation, Harry finally plucked up his courage. He had to try. What did he have to lose? And what if it worked out? So, the day before the break, Harry went to Sebastian's office. He took a deep breath and knocked. "Come in," Sebastian said. Harry opened the door to find Sebastian behind a large desk, immersed in a thick magic book. Seeing Harry, his eyes lit up with curiosity. "What's up, Harry?" Harry fidgeted, then nervously voiced his request. "You want to invite your friends for Christmas?" Sebastian smiled at Harry's tentative request and ruffled his hair. "I'm all for it. A few extra mouths to feed won't break the bank at Swan Manor." "Will Aunt Mia be okay with it?" Harry asked, worried. After all, Sebastian was just the man of the house. Inviting guests required the hostess's approval. "Ha!" Sebastian chuckled. "Mia will love it. We'll ask her now if you're worried." He pulled a two-way mirror from his pocket, and Mia's face soon appeared. Her gentle voice came through the mirror. "What is it, Sebastian? What's going on?" Sebastian pointed the mirror at Harry and explained Harry's idea. "Molly Weasley's son," Mia said through the mirror. "Of course. Harry, Swan Manor is big enough. Invite as many friends as you like." With permission granted, Harry excitedly left the office, eager to share the good news with Ron. Watching Harry go, Sebastian pondered for a moment. Invite Ron, the kid who always badmouthed Slytherin. He frowned, remembering the times he'd overheard Ron complaining about Slytherin. Oh well. As an adult and a professor, he couldn't exactly argue with an 11-year-old, besides, he was Harry's friend. How could he say no? Then, Sebastian had an idea. Why not invite the twins and Percy as well? Might as well go big or go home. Besides, the Weasley family wouldn't be together this Christmas. It wouldn't be right to separate the brothers who were staying at school. With that, Sebastian sent his Patronus to extend a holiday invitation to the twins and Percy. Fred and George readily accepted. They'd heard the professor had a state-of-the-art alchemy lab at home, and they couldn't wait to see it. Percy hesitated. Hogwarts was quiet during the holidays, perfect for studying, but Swan Manor sounded good too. If he had questions, the professor might be able to help. Holy cow, Professor Swan's place is amazing. Ron flopped onto the soft bed, completely stunned. He looked at Harry, his voice full of awe and envy. You said you lived at Professor Swan's before Hogwarts, but you never mentioned he had his own dueling arena. And a swimming pool, a gym, a greenhouse full of magical plants, and everything. The house elves are something else. I bet we couldn't afford the clothes they're wearing even if we emptied our entire Gringotts vault. Ron went on, bursting with things to say. And I thought the alchemy lab Fred and George were talking about was just a small room. I never expected it to be a 7-story building. Even the Ollery has 3 floors. The alchemy equipment is so shiny it's blinding. I can't believe the Ollery is nicer than our dorm. Okay, Ron, Harry laughed at Ron's expression. Want to play some arcade games? I saw Fred and George head to the game room. Ron's eyes widened. Game room? He practically jumped, his face filled with excitement. But knowing my luck, we'll only have today to have fun. Starting tomorrow, Professor Swan will probably supervise our studies. Supervised studying? Ron's smile froze, his eyes widened in disbelief. It was Christmas break. If he'd known he'd have to study, he never would have agreed to come. Having fun at school would have been way better. But now it was too late. Ron jumped off the bed and pushed Harry toward the door. What are we waiting for? Let's go. I want to have a blast today. Chapter 100 A Simple Wish. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What was reassuring for Ron was that the professor's supervised study went off without a hitch the next day. Percy, however, was so lost in his studies he didn't surface until dinner time. Fred and George, not ones for Muggle arcade games, got permission from Sebastian to use the alchemy lab and dove headfirst into their experiments. Harry, itching to test his skills after a semester of studying, dragged Sebastian to the dueling arena. Ron, not feeling up for studying, played a few games and quickly got bored. In the end, he grudgingly pulled out his textbooks and tackled his holiday homework. On Christmas morning, Harry walked into the living room and was blown away by the mountain of presents next to the tree. Merry Christmas, Harry. Mia gave him a hug and led him to his pile. Jeff sorted them for you. These are all yours. Dig in. Harry happily ripped open a gift, revealing a super high-end broom care kit. A note inside read, "Hope you soar. Aunt Mia." Smiling, Harry grabbed the next package, a large, lumpy one. Inside, he found a giant box of candies and a hand-knitted sweater. "Oh, that's gotta be from my mom," Ron said from behind. "I told her you invited us for Christmas." Ron's face turned a little red. "The sweater's a little old-fashioned," he mumbled, sounding embarrassed. "I mean, if you don't like it." Harry cut him off. "Are you kidding? I love it. Hey, your gift's over there. Go check it out." Ron's eyes lit up as he tore into his present. Bertie Bott's every flavor beans. Hermione sent them. She said she was jealous we got to study with the professor. Suddenly, Ron gasped, watching Harry unpack a silver-gray, shimmering cloak. "Holy cow, that's the real deal!" Ron exclaimed, barely containing his excitement. Try it on," Harry shrugged on the cloak, watching Ron expectantly. What is it? What does it do? Are you kidding me? Ron was bouncing with excitement. That's an invisibility cloak. Look at yourself. Harry glanced down and was shocked to see his body gone. Amazing. He could still feel his body, but all he could see was the floor behind him. Who would send such an advanced alchemical item? Sadly, Harry couldn't find the sender's name anywhere, only a small note saying the cloak had belonged to his father. The discovery made him pause with sadness. Luckily, the twins and the others arrived, full of curiosity about the cloak and eager to try it on. The noise and excitement quickly chased away Harry's sadness. After breakfast, they headed to the back of the manor for an epic snowball fight fueled by snowball charms. They played until they were exhausted and soaked, then trudged back to the house. After drying their clothes with a quick spell, the group hit the game room and dove into the arcade games. As night fell, Swan Manor was filled with Christmas cheer. In the dining room, a spectacular Christmas dinner awaited. The long table groaned under the weight of delicious dishes. A golden brown roast turkey filled the air with its aroma, the honey-glazed ham had a crispy skin and juicy interior, and the fragrant roast potatoes and vegetables made everyone's mouth water. Knowing kids were coming, Mia had prepared a spread of desserts, pudding, a gingerbread house, and a chocolate fountain. Sebastian raised his glass, smiling. Thank you all for coming, little wizards. Your energy has brought Swan Manor to life. Thank you, Mia, for making such a fantastic Christmas dinner for us. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas. Everyone raised their glasses in a toast. The dinner was filled with laughter. Harry told funny stories about Hogwarts, while Fred and George kept cracking jokes, making everyone roar. Even Percy set aside his usual seriousness, enjoying the warm atmosphere with a smile. Ron, stuffing his face, thought to himself how approachable Professor Swan really was. Harry was right. He'd been too quick to judge Slytherins. This Slytherin professor was all right. After dinner, Professor Sebastian led everyone to the back garden of Swan Manor, covered in snow and bathed in moonlight. It was quiet and beautiful. All right, everyone, gather round, Sebastian said, pulling out a bunch of fireworks. It's time for a Christmas special, a magical fireworks show. Fred and George high-fived, practically vibrating with excitement, and rushed forward to light the first firework. With a loud crack, a dazzling spark shot into the sky. Boom! Fireworks exploded, forming a glittering Hogwarts crest, showering golden sparks across the garden. Awesome! The kids yelled. The first firework was a hit. Fred and George lit the second firework, a chain reaction. As the fireworks exploded, 4 animals took shape in the sky, a lion, a snake, an eagle, and a badger. They struck majestic poses, and the kids went wild. Our turn. Harry and Ron couldn't resist any longer. They raced forward and lit the next set of magical fireworks. Flames shot upward and burst in the night sky, revealing an unbelievable sight. First, a huge phoenix appeared, made of countless sparks. Its feathers shimmered. With wings spread wide, it nearly covered the entire night sky. The phoenix circled in the air, its tail feathers leaving a trail of golden light, each flap of its wings sending out bursts of sparks. Then, a silver-white unicorn galloped into view. Its mane and tail were made of shimmering sparks that fluttered in the wind. Each step left a trail of brilliant light. Finally, the immense Hogwarts castle slowly materialized. The castle's spires and walls were outlined in bright sparks, the details clear and vivid. Holy moly! Ron kept repeating. This must have cost a fortune. Fred and George locked eyes, a new alchemy goal in their sights. It's decided, they said in unison. We're designing our own fireworks. Harry stared at the fireworks, his eyes shining. Remembering a Muggle rumor, he shouted to everyone, make a wish now. It'll come true. The kids immediately shouted out their heart's desires. Ace all my exams next year. Invent cool new magic stuff. Get rich quick. Get stronger.